Hey, and welcome back to the podcast. We are here with Greg Reiter from LaunchCart.com. We are going to be talking about e-commerce business, print on demand. You know, Greg, I'm a big fan of if I need to get a mouse pad made, if I need to get a mug made, in the day and age we live in, you can just click around and get any kind of, t-shirt or object created with the branding. So it's exciting times to be alive, as well as for people to jump in and use LaunchCart. So how the heck have you been and what are you up to?
Man, just loving life. And I got a quick little story. So when I first got into digital marketing in 1997, I bought the very first e-commerce mall in 1997. So I had this vision that e-commerce was going to rock the globe, way back then. And the site that I bought was called firstnetmall.com. And that was back when search engines ranked everything alphabetically. So we always got all the traffic and it was working. As soon as they ranked it by something that was meaningful, all the traffic lost, and I lost all my money on that. But I've been doing e-commerce for a long time, and now I've created a better, faster, higher converting e-commerce platform to kind of compete out there in the marketplace.
Well, fantastic. And kids these days will never appreciate those days of before search engines when you had to go to Excite or DMOZ or Directory. And I remember like my local TV station had one of these malls where they'd say, oh, we'll make a web page. And then if you have a business, we'll put it in a subsection of our site. I mean, things were crazy back then, but we're always making it up as we go along, right? Back then, we were just seeing what works. And even in this day and age, I mean, when you hear about some of these e-commerce guys and the speed and the scale at which they take action, I mean, it's like the older I get, the more I realize that no one knows what they're doing. And things change so much, and so many things are not guaranteed in life. You just need to act fast and measure things, and then kind of have the data, and then take small calculated risks and make your business what it needs to be. Because just like back then, no one knew what they were doing with malls. In this day and age, with Web3, NFTs, who knows what? No one exactly knows. So we need to take some massive action. So yeah, you have. Back then, there were like the days of malls, but now you have LaunchCart, and you've had all these decades of all these successes and ups and downs. So what do you have to say to us? What's your current message? What's your uniqueness?
Well, that's a good question. So we started a company called Celebrity Lifestyle Brands, and we were helping celebrities and influencers monetize their fan base through e-commerce, and started doing millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars working with, some pretty decent celebrities like Carlos Santana and Sofia Vergara and, these celebrities, and using Shopify, which is the big player out there. I'm just like, man, and my digital marketing background is like wanting to do upsells, downsells, cross sells, track and optimize. It was a pain in the what. And so we decided, man, we have the crystal ball. Let's create a better platform, right? And so the idea was, first of all, let's create a platform that's not app driven. If you've ever used Shopify, it's like getting a $1,400 smartphone, and all it does is make and receive a phone call. Shopify only allows you to sell something online. If you want to collect customer reviews, you got to go to the App Store, search for customer reviews, try to figure out which one's the best app, download it and configure it and pay extra money for it. And then if you want an exit pop, you got to go search for it, download it and configure it. If you want a promotional bar, you got to go search for it, download, configure it. Next thing you know, you got 10, 13, 14, I think the average is 13 apps to get your Shopify store where you want it. Every app slows your store down, which hurts conversions, and every app costs more money. So we said, hey, let's divide this into must-haves and should-haves. And so we said, okay, let's take the must-haves and build those into LaunchCart natively. So now you don't have to go look for customer reviews, because that's a must-have. You don't have to go look for exit pops. That's a must-have. You don't have to go look for promotional bars. That's a must-have. You don't have to do coupon codes. That's a must-have. So we built in the must-haves, so things load faster, easier, speed to market. And then we said, okay, what are the should-haves? Well, as a digital marketer, and you've known me long enough to know this, as a digital marketer, we want to be able to edit the checkout page. That's the most critical page on any e-commerce site. The point in time where somebody's going to, hit submit with their credit card. So we have the only e-commerce platform that I know of with a checkout page editor, drag and drop editor. So we have a checkout page editor. Then we said, okay, we should have order bumps. So at the point of checkout, would you like something to go with that something? Those are order bumps. Got to have that. And then we built in, funnels. So, we all grew up, learning ClickFunnels and what Russell's done. And we built in funnels into an e-commerce platform. So we're e-commerce first, but we do have funnels and flows. So upsells and downsells. So those are the should haves. We built all that in natively. And then the last USP that we did is let's let people use it for free to get them started. Like no monthly fees. So you can build your store, get it going, monthly fees, and we have a freemium offering. So we're a real premium e-commerce platform with a freemium model with all these cool tools. And then last but not least, we integrated with some of the world's top print-on-demand, manufacturer-on-demand companies. So you literally can get branded merch, like I got my LaunchCart hat here. You can get your branded merch for your company set up and selling on a website in less than 24 hours.
Well, fantastic. And I like that thought process there, because that seems to be with software, that's always the problem, right? You're like, well, do I make this, do you have everything built in, but you're limited in what you do, or can it do everything, but then you don't even know where to begin? So that's cool how, and you see this with Shopify, with WordPress, with, the apps on your phone, right? You end up just like accumulating all these little things, and then it becomes almost like a treasure hunt to add all these different things. And you're like, okay, here's what everyone's using, and here's what we'll kind of rope into and build in as kind of the core, so that way you can do everything, but here is what is already built in. And so you've been creating these features, and as you and I know, what's the coolest part about software is the use cases, right? When people actually use it. So is there any particular industry or use for your cart that has you the most excited? You can do everything, but what has you the most energized, turned on about LaunchCart and what people are doing with it?
Well, we're kind of carving our niche right now in the print on demand space. And we're actually going to, and this again too, Robert, and I love the name of your podcast too, right? So from a marketing standpoint, if we want to be number one in a category, what do? Create a category. So we're creating a new category called on demand. So we're the on demand e-commerce platform, and we're creating an on demand product sourcing marketplace called the Source and Sell Marketplace. And so we're kind of in this phase right now where our real sweet spot is helping people get launched their basic merch up. So influencers, celebrities, brands that want to have merch. They already have their product, but why wouldn't they have merch? Or if you're a TikToker or YouTuber, you have merch. And of course, we have Teespring, which is now Spring, and Zazzle, and all these different competitors out there. But we're always teaching people, going back from a branding perspective, you should own the client, you should own the brand. With LaunchCart, it's your customer, it's your brand, you own the customer. And one of the really things I'm excited about for 2023 is we're going down this vertical of NIL. Have you heard that acronym NIL?
No.
So NIL is the acronym for name, image, and likeness. And you're familiar with, that LeBron James goes from high school to pro, and Kobe from high school to pro. Why? Because they couldn't monetize their name, image, and likeness, or they would lose their collegiate status. Well, they changed those laws about 1.5 years ago. So now all high school kids and all college kids can now monetize their name, image, and likeness, maintain their collegiate status, and then go to the pros when and if they go to the pros. So that's a great niche for us, right? Because what high school student wouldn't want to have his own branded merch, or college student, and start building their brand, building their customer base, building their asset as they're going through that, making money in this e-commerce space. And so we're kind of really going to have a big division in the NIL space next year.
And what you've done with that is that's what a lot of marketers wish they could do, right? Is be so tapped into the news and see what the trends are, and see what's like a simple news story, but just opens up the floodgates for this whole new customer base. Like you said, now these college kids can kind of monetize their brand, and then also it's not all that much extra work for you to add in some of these features. Maybe you might have templates or training or something like that, but it's you already have the infrastructure in place. You say, here's this news, here's this cataclysmic event that happened, and now I can jump on this and contact all these types of people and get them using my platform without a lot of extra work for you. And so you have this freemium model for LaunchCart. And why did you go that way? And is that scary, or were there any kind of hard decisions in figuring out that whole the price structure with having some of it free?
Well, that's a really good question too. And the reason we did it is because, as another e-commerce platform, we're a little bit like another Me Too. You got Shopify and WooCommerce and Volusion and BigCommerce and Samcart and this guy. The e-commerce platforms are plentiful, and it's kind of a fragmented space. But in the drop shipping space, it's kind of got a little bit of a bad connotation because of all the problems with drop shipping from China. And with my connections in the world of real brands, we want to bring real brands into the drop shipping space. But again, we're going to be branding it as on-demand product sourcing. So what we're doing that's really unique, and that kind of ties back to your question of why the freemium model, is we're bringing this B2B marketplace where we'll allow brands and manufacturers to upload their catalog of products into our marketplace, allow LaunchCart sellers, let's say I'm selling jeans, but I want to have shapewear because I know my client is 45 to 70-year-old women want shapewear, but I don't have shapewear. I go to the marketplace and I say, search for shapewear. I find shapewear. I click a button. Now shapewear is for sale in my store. Or let's say I have a coffee brand called Rescue Joe. Drink a cup, save a pup. And I want to be able to sell dog bowls and dog leashes and other dog products to go along with my coffee product. But I don't have all that stuff, and I surely don't want to buy it and inventory it. So I go to the marketplace, search for these products, click a button. Now they're for sale in my store. That's being done on some level. But the problem is you have multiple vendors and multiple situations, and banking can be a hassle. So what we're doing is we're creating and integrating a third component called banking as a service. And you guys see it with everything from, the apps on our phone, the Cash App and that kind of stuff. That's banking as a service. So when you sign up for LaunchCart, you're going to get a bank account. And when you have your product and you're selling stuff from your store, at the point of purchase, we're going to take out the money and give it to the person who's providing and drop shipping that product for you. So now as a brand, let's say I'm selling, Nike or Champion or Adidas or whatever, I'm not at risk at you selling my product and not paying me and hurting my brand. And so the money gets split at the point of purchase. And then because we own the marketplace and the SaaS platform, we can also protect the brand by locking down prices, products, descriptions, and all that kind of stuff. So I hope that makes sense. And then to answer your question, is the reason we wanted the freemium models, we want to onboard millions of people all over the globe fast, give them the ability to create a store, go to the marketplace, click some buttons, and be selling products with no money up front. And the more people I can bring on fast, the more we're going to go up the ladder. We're going to teach them how to do Facebook posts and marketing and Facebook ads and TikTok ads and all that kind of stuff. We can kind of get that. And that's also what drives the brands to go, I want to put my stuff in the marketplace because they got a distribution channel over here that I'm not tapping into, and I get paid instantly, and I get the customer data. So, that's our competitive USP against Amazon. Amazon's not giving you the customer data, and they're not paying you instantly.
And I can tell how passionate you are about this. And you tapped into something interesting because, like you said a few minutes ago, it's really easy to be creatively lazy and just be a me too and say, oh, well, or yet another shopping cart. And then someone would look at that and say, like, why would I use that? Why wouldn't I use what's established? So this is cool how you have like these multiple kind of like groups of people that all kind of they end up working together with you in as the kind of as the hub. So that way, if someone wants to jump in and start selling some of these e-commerce products, it's point and click easy. And from, you mentioned Amazon, and from every few years, I kind of jump back into e-commerce with Amazon, and it's so sketchy, isn't it? Like when you contact a supplier and you have to get a backup supplier, and then you might figure out some agreement with them, but they'll change the prices or they'll change the fulfillment on you. It just seems really like, especially for someone like Amazon, that they're supposed to be like the future. It's like whenever you deal with them, you're like, this is so weird how I'm making a phone call or sending a message when why shouldn't it be point and click built into the system? And so this is cool that you finally you've done it. And so when you have all of these different suppliers using your system, have there been any kind of like software headaches? Because I imagine that there must have been maybe some difficulty in getting it standardized, right? Like if someone says, well, there's this shapewear and I want to like get my image fit on that, there must have been some kind of like problems in getting it all working together, right?
Well, just to kind of put it, we're the LaunchCart side of things is built and done. The source and sell marketplace is in like alpha stage right now, but really it's not that big a deal because everything in e-commerce is a product title, a product description, size, weight, variant, blue, white, red, and photos, and if so, in photos, and maybe in video. So the import feature to import all that stuff is really very simple from the ERPs and the various technology platforms where the information is held right now. And again, it's like you think about how did this come about? entrepreneurs solve problems. So when we started to build LaunchCart, I said, let's do some drop shipping from China and kind of see how it works. And because I was a digital marketer and I had the wherewithal, we started out, and within the first month, we did almost $1 million. I mean, $0 to $1 million with an e-commerce store. We did $17 million in sales in 9 months and collected 400,000 credit cards in 9 months doing drop shipping from stuff from China that we never, ever touched. And I'm like, great cash grab, but terrible business model and very complicated. I had the wherewithal. I had 45 people working on this, right? And you think about that and you go, multiple vendor accounts, paying money all over the place. The accounting of it was an absolute nightmare, right? And so I want to take technology and solve that problem. Even like you just said with Amazon, you might have to go to different vendors and get your product from different vendors, and you have to pay an account and all, and they see what's happening. Whereas if we have it all technology driven, tying into their inventory management, when they run out, it disappears from my store, right? Or if it's a discontinued item, it disappears from my store. And whether it's in one store or 1,000 or 1,000,000 LaunchCart stores, we can control inventory and inventory management, discontinued items and out of stock items, and everything can just be done with technology. So we're just taking the idea of, the affiliate world, Shopify, Amazon, and kind of merging it together. And then the banking as a service really is the key, because now when I can split the payments out and pay people technology wise, that's what's going to be. We're going to crash it.
Well, I'm excited for you, and I like your thought process, your strategy here, in that it's easy with your business or with software to just like have some kind of harebrained ideas, but it seems like if you come across something that it makes money and it works, but it's a huge mess and it's a huge just like roller coaster where you're just barely hanging on and there's all this chaos, then that seems to be maybe the sweet spot where you say, well, this is a real problem and it makes money, but the problem is just it's not manageable. It's not simple enough. It's not doable enough for the average person. It seems like that maybe is kind of like the creating your own category, the blue ocean, like they call it, where you're like, I'm just barely on the edge of what's possible, and I have to duct tape all these Shopify plugins together or to figure out all the stuff with the Amazon suppliers, when you're like, it works, but it needs a better box to fit in. It seems like that's maybe the sweet spot if we're looking for that big next business idea. That seems to be like the criteria to narrow down.
Yeah, no, you nailed it on the head. That's exactly what it is. And you think about emerging markets like Africa. Africa has more 19-year-olds than any other country on the planet. And it is going to be one of the biggest GDP countries in the world in another 10 years. And you think of Bangladesh with, millions and millions of people, and you think of, Malaysia. We have customers on LaunchCart right now in 182 different countries, with Malaysia being number 4, right? So you have people that are in these emerging markets that have some technology, but they can't afford $29 a month, $79 a month, and all these extra app fees, but they can afford to get on a platform for free. And again, if they only make 3 or 4 sales a month with a profit of $5 or $10 per product, it can change their life where they're living at, right? And as a SaaS platform, is that meaningful if I have 10,000 of those? No, but is it meaningful if I have 1 million of those? Yeah, it is, right? And then one last little vision I'll share with you too, Robert, that kind of came out of this is, you think about sites that have traffic. So let me give you an example. So there's a website called Surfline. So surfline.com, and they have cameras on all the waves on all the hot surfing sites. So all the surfers and skateboarders and people that surf and beachgoers, they go to the site to see if the surf's up. They get 1 million visitors a month, right? So we look at that and we analyze, okay, we know these 1 million visitors. Here's the demographics. Here's the avatar. What brands do they buy? Oh, they buy Billabong. They buy Spy. They buy, you just go through that list. Now, they could create an e-commerce store, and they could go to each one of those suppliers and try to cut a deal with each one and kind of incorporate it and get the technology to get the drop shipping. But we say, no, we'll go to them. We'll onboard them into the marketplace. So now we onboard all these brands, 50 brands that are catered to that skateboard, surfing marketplace. Go back to Surfline. Go, okay, now we can build you a store. You want Spy? Click a button. Here's a whole collection of Spy. Click another button. Here's a whole collection of Billabong. Click another button. Here's a whole other collection. And build an entire store with hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of SKUs in a matter of hours. And then they already have the traffic. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. And you think about that for the golf niche, the tennis niche, the MMA niche, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to be able to create mini marketplaces all over the globe with people that already have traffic.
Well, you're a list builder, and people always think about building a list as far as customers are having like the freemium model to get to build a list of people that otherwise like wouldn't be Shopify users, for example. But the other lists that you're building are like the distributors, the other companies, the other kind of pieces of your network. So this is pretty cool what you have going on. And we've talked about so many things in our conversation here, Greg, everything from, pop-ups and checkout pages and the like. Is there a feature or a use for LaunchCart that you wish your customer would use more, but they don't?
Well, it's starting to happen, and that is, because of where I come from, the internet marketing world, a lot of coaches, a lot of speakers, you can use our platform. It's an e-commerce enabled website builder. So people are starting to use it to sell their digital programs, their digital downloads, right? So they can use it and to build their funnels and their landing pages, right? And again, I'm out there competing against, ClickFunnels, which what Russell's done is an amazing job, but I've been using ClickFunnels since the day he started. But now we have, a comparable, but the unique thing about us is that our funnels have the ability to do variants and colors and sizes and weights and things of that nature. But really, it's just about getting the word out. We've had our head down building this platform for 4 years. We built it literally, I don't say a competitor to Shopify, because I'm not quite that naive to think that, we can create an actual competitor to that I think they're worth $47 billion right now. But we're definitely an alternative, and we have people switching and leaving Shopify on a daily basis. And we have people going, well, let me give these guys a try out. And like you said, we're faster to market, easier to use, and we can work with just about anything out there. And we're continuing to build on the platform. We're going to make it better and better and better.
And there's so many platforms like that where I'll be frustrated with whatever solution that I have, right? Whether it's a solution for text messaging, taking payments, hosting the website, whatever the solution is, and I'll give such and such a chance, and I'll be like, where has this been all my life? And then so many times, like, you see these other choices or alternatives come along, and you're like, well, the grass is always greener. But even like looking at it, you're like, well, I'm happy where I'm at just because I took the chance that one time, because I listened to that one podcast and Greg was on there talking about LaunchCart. And so how can people take action on this? If they say, I'm excited about all these possibilities, from the digital course to the e-commerce, and I want to just jump in and click around and experiment and have fun and build something, where do they go? What do they do? And why should they take action right now?
Yeah, just go to launchcart.com, click get started now, put in your email, give your store name, and boom, you'll be in the back office with your first store up and going. And you can hop into our Facebook group if you need some help. But literally, we have people as young as 8 years old building stores on our platform for their moms and dads, and it's really that simple. And you can use it for free. And what we do on the free plan is we take 3% of your sales, so it's not erroneous. It's just 3% of your sales. And then when you start getting over $1,000 a month in sales, you can jump up to our first payment, our first subscription plan, which is $27 a month. But it's all there. It's easy to go. You can just get started at launchcart.com.
Very logical, and make it sound so easy. So launchcart.com. And as we're winding down our conversation here, Greg, you talked about so many cool concepts, just that how important it is to get the word out, like you're doing right here, right? You're on a podcast. You talk about creating your own category, so that way you're kind of competing against the big solution, but also not really, because you're not quite the same. And you've talked a lot about removing the number of clicks and making it easy and making it so someone can just jump in and do it. So in our kind of final couple of minutes of our conversation here, do you think there is a mindset or like a big picture kind of marketing technique that you apply that you're really excited about that not everyone applies, that maybe they should? Anything come to mind as far as like the big ideas, concepts, things we should be paying more attention to?
Well, no, I love that. And I'm all about mindset. I mean, we do coaching, and I do coaching every week for our customers. And I start every coaching session. I do 2 lives a week, and every session I start with mindset, because if you can't get it together between these 5 inches of your 2 ears, you really can't figure it out. And how do you help your mindset is through little wins, right? You have to do things that like you go sign up for LaunchCart, boom, you got a store, you add your logo, and you see your logo, cool. And then you add a few more clicks and add your menus, and then a few more clicks, add your categories, and next thing you know, man, it's looking like a store in 10 minutes. It's incredible, right? So those little wins get you going, but it's about getting around people that are smarter than you, that are going to help you grow and go. And then from an e-commerce perspective, really it's about, and you said earlier, and I said too, track and optimize. We have great stats, we have great analytics, and you order bumps. I had this one guy that was using the order bump on Shopify compared to our order bump on LaunchCart. Our order bump on LaunchCart was converting at 75% for a gift wrap. His on Shopify was converting at 23%. After extrapolating out those numbers, just by switching over to LaunchCart, he would have added an extra like $180,000 a year to his bottom line. So these are the things you have to learn. What are the 1% things that have that leverage and move the needle for you? And they're order bumps and they're upsells and downsells. And everyone in digital marketing knows this. It's list building. And then it's about how do I increase my average order value? How do I increase my lifetime value of my customer? And if people focus on those three things, they're going to be successful in anything they do online.
Amazing. Well, they say, Greg, what you focus on grows. And I love that mindset of just like, how can I just be 1% better this week, knowing that it will compound, and that 1% might express itself in the form of, showing up on podcasts, doing the weekly live streams, doing the conversion rate optimization, slowly, incrementally building the navigation. And this is the thing that I always forget to tap into when, I have a podcast like this and I have speakers come on and they'll say things like, every 1 or 2 years, they'll like completely throw out their website and they'll like recreate it from scratch or like renew it. And I'm thinking like, man, that's something to definitely tap into, of just like revisiting or just getting like 1% better. The same way, like, even athletes do, right? They'll say, well, I'll work on my free throws. I'll work on my hook on my golf swing. I'll work on my catch and fly balls, whatever it is, just 1% better. But you can't you can't get 1% better unless you have something built already. So if you're at 0, if you have a dream, if you want to create that website, if you want to create the e-commerce solution, go over to launchcart.com. That's LaunchCart.com. Greg and his team will take care of you. They make it easy. They make it fun. There's all these features. And like Greg said, there's the whole community where he kind of revisits and gets you excited about all the new little nooks and crannies of LaunchCart that you have not yet tapped into. So go there now while it's still fresh on your mind, because it's easy to say, oh yeah, write down LaunchCart and never get back to it. Go there now and sign up for the account in just a few clicks. That way you have your account already created and you've taken the first step. So launchcart.com is the place to go. Any final parting words of advice, Greg, or is it just go to launchcart.com while it's on your mind?
No, my final part of advice is this. It's very, very important. And I learned this from, I don't know if it's Jim Rohn or somebody, but you have to wake up every day with an attitude of gratitude, right? Just like I literally have been able to train myself. The minute my eyes open in the morning, I'm starting to say, I'm thankful for that window I see. I'm thankful for those trees I see out the window. I'm thankful I'm still alive. So wake up with an attitude of gratitude and then find somebody and tell them you love them and you'll have a better day.